With the PEAK project, Pendell's High Performance Leadership Project, nearing completion, Pendell Pittman took time this week to ponder the effectiveness of both the project and of his own leadership skills. From the doodling off of several restaurant napkins to your ears, Pendell Pittman now presents Napkin Notes on the PEAK project. Pendell Pittman. Thanks, sir.
18 accomplished Toastmasters were gathered in a room. It was very similar to this room. Wait a minute, it was this room. We were discussing matters of peak performance's recent past or brief past, our present, and our future. At one point, I heard myself blurt out, "We need a standards document." I heard nobody say no, nobody laughed out loud, so I kept festering this idea into a high-performance leadership project. My first thought was to write a standard document, a tome, which would cover every possible minute detail of our club. The table of contents, as you might remember, itself was 4 pages long. This is what we're going to talk about even before we begin to talk about it. What we ended up with, we being I, my wonderful guidance committee, which is Alex, Linda, Pete, and Mike, plus my 5 action teams, we came up with a 10-point document, concise, which dovetails and works hand in hand with our club constitution, with a Toastmasters promise, and with moments of truth, that scary document that tells us what a Toastmasters club should ideally be doing. When we first started this project, I had a number of people say to me, look, writing some tome that is going to collect dust on our shelves is not going to do anything relative to either individual member performance or club performance. I agreed. Later, Pete and Mike and I were having coffee one day in Starbucks, bouncing ideas off the Starbucks walls. Mike came up with this thought. He said, as we come up with these principles, with these theories about what an ideal club looks like, about what ideal members act like, what will we do for action? How will we put wheels on this thing? What initiatives will come out of this? I found that very inspiring. And suddenly this project, which started out to write a standards document, turned into not only that, but 8 more initiatives, things that we can move forward on as a club if we so desire. We had results areas. We looked at member goals tracking, actually the club's help with members achieving goals, expanded meeting times, a speech lab, which is a rehearsal type situation where we can take parts of speeches, say a joke sequence, say a story element, say working with props, an aspect of a speech, and work that in and of itself without going through the entire speech. So it's a different concept. We came up with the idea, Linda did actually, of a skills bank. This is where we document our particular skills. We network together and we share those skills with other members who would like to become stronger in those skills. We help each other in an organized way. We talked about increased emphasis on public events. Greg in particular and I have gotten inspired about the idea of having speechathons, having more public elements, and Reed came up with the idea of supplying speakers for these clubs around who need speakers. Many of these clubs are sucking wind when it comes to actually filling speech slots. A concept which is foreign to us here and in many of our other clubs, I would say. We came up with the idea of charting club goals year by year and monitoring them or checking in on them monthly or quarterly. The idea of member and officer accountability standards also came up. So this project was ever changing, ever evolving. What I found was this. When I sent out the first questionnaire, I asked, okay, well, we want to be a great club. We have said that we want to be the standard bearers for all clubs in the district. Why do we want to do that? And what does that look like? What would a great club look like? And what are each of us willing to do to make it a great club? Well, I got a number of questionnaires back. I got to the letter, to the number, a third of the questionnaires as the number of members. In other words, a third of the member organization sent me the questionnaire. A third said, you know, thank you for doing all this work. You're doing a great job. Keep doing it, but I'm too busy. The other third I never heard from. So while we're being a great club, an ideal for the district, what I realized was we were matching Lance Miller's description of what an average club looks like, which is a third of your club is your core members, a third smile and wave and say, this is amazing, keep doing it. And another third you never hear from. They pay their dues, but they're sort of invisible. Well, I got a little self-righteous about this. I got a little huffed off about this, particularly on the question that said, you know, do you think officers should do a better job? Well, yes, they should. Well, okay, would you like to be a club officer? Well, no, that's okay. So I thought, okay, interesting. Well, all right, is there any money to be put where the mouth might be? Again, my self-righteousness swelled. When I put out the second questionnaire, I've got 4 responses out of 28. Now I began to have questions about my own leadership ability. I thought, why can I not inspire more members to send in these questionnaires? So I sort of prostrated myself, I got to be careful with that word, in front of my guidance committee and said, I'm a terrible leader. I just can't get anybody to send these questionnaires back. And basically they were very kind. They didn't say, oh, get over yourself, you don't have that much impact. They did not say that. They actually said, well, you know, it's not up to you to make these things happen. It's actually up to the member interest to swell the sea here. What I realized is this. People, including me, and probably you, do not follow leaders per se, unless it's a cult. What they follow is an essence, maybe a habit, maybe an ideal based in their own sense of what they want to do. And then they ally with a leader who also wants to do that and who has some idea as to how to focus the efforts. So, is leadership important? Yeah, but not as much as I might have thought before. There is a piece that Pete sent me from Derek Sivers. It's an awesome piece. I'll send you the link to it. It's 3 minutes, and it shows a leader getting up in a field and starting to dance at like a picnic or something. He's dancing away. Everybody's kind of looking at it. Nothing's happening. There's a nut dancing. But then there's the first follower who gets up and starts dancing with him. Now all of a sudden, there's movement. A third person gets up. A fourth person gets up. After a while, it doesn't look weird to get up and dance. It actually would look uncool not to get up and dance. So if you're going to look cool, you better hurry. So the next 10 people get up and dance, and suddenly everyone's dancing. A movement has begun. What I realized is we're coming out of the TV era where big advertising used to put out the message to everybody that says, doctors smoke, smoking is good, or whatever element was to be sold, pushed to the masses. We're now moving into more of a tribe situation. The internet, which everybody thought was going to homogenize everybody, has actually galvanized niches. Everybody who loves to wear red hats can all communicate globally. Everybody who wants to tie tiny balloon animals can all communicate globally. There is this ability to bring tribes of like interests together. And that's what I began to realize. That instead of galvanizing our club to do some great thing of my idea and getting all huffed or feeling an inferiority complex if they don't do it, I realized this is a platform for tribes. We can have the Skills Bank tribe. We can have the lab tribe. There is no limit to what we can do within the club as long as we relax the idea that not every club member has to do it. This provides tremendous freedom. And so what I am inspired about at the end of this HPL is to present to the officers several possibilities of how we can achieve ends that we are limited in achieving here on a Saturday morning. We got the rest of the week, we got the rest of the month and year. There's plenty of time to do anything that any 2, 3, or 4 of us want to do. Even a lone nut with an idea can do it and get up here and tell the club about it. So I greatly appreciate your support with this HPL. More emails to follow, as you can imagine. I'll try to keep them not verbose, although good luck. And we'll see what happens next. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.